Hello guys, so today I'm skipping all the formalities and I'm just gonna get straight into it. I'm sure as you've seen from the title of the video, you know what this is about. So, my life story has been kind of complicated and I've had a lot of issues and struggles along the way, but who hasn't? That's not why I'm bringing this up. Everyone's had their own fair share of hardships. Mine have made me who I am today. My journey began at a very young age. Honestly, I couldn't say exactly when. I want to say maybe 6, 7. I'm not for sure. I remember my sister would, she was the only girl, so she would want to dress us up because she was the oldest, and my brother and I were younger. He only participated a couple times, but she wanted to dress us up as girls and stuff, and I was super young, but from what I can remember, I loved it. I don't know how to explain it, and I didn't understand it at that time either, so at this point, I understand it, and it just feels right, but at the time, I just didn't know. And I'm also guessing me liking it wasn't really questioned because I was younger, or I was so young, so I don't know, I suppose people didn't really think much of it. As I got just a little bit older, just a couple years, I still had a fascination with makeup and women's clothing, but wouldn't really dress me up anymore. I just remember looking at the clothing and stuff and thinking how much I liked it, but knowing that society would say it was wrong, and I didn't understand why I liked it either. I grew up in a household with a lot of issues, which again, who doesn't? Most people do. Everyone does, to be fair, but some people have worse issues than others. But there was love there at times, though. Honestly, the bad parts of it almost outweighed any good parts. We had an open-minded household for the most part. There were some things that certain members might have felt a certain way. And I should also mention, we grew up in a household with a single mother. Even though we had a more open-minded and just open in general household, I still I didn't understand it, and so I didn't talk about it. I just didn't feel comfortable coming out about it. As I got older and puberty started taking effect and doing its things, its unwanted changes, I started typical biological male stuff, body hair, voice deepening, all of that stuff, facial hair, everything that gives me really bad dysphoria now at this point. I still didn't fully understand my feelings, but I could understand enough at that point that I wasn't normal, and there would be times that I felt, or I would think, my life might be easier if I was female, but I still just didn't fully understand, and I didn't have anyone to talk to about it, or to help me understand, so I don't know, I just kept it to myself. And I can remember, when I was in school, I would be sitting there looking at girls, and not because I wanted them, but because I wanted to look like them. I wanted to be as beautiful as they were, and it just sucked being trapped in this male body, and one that doesn't feel like me, it doesn't express how I feel, at least, to word that better. And I also feel I should mention I was pulled from school halfway through 8th grade under the pretense that I would be homeschooled and get my GED. That went on for about a month. After that, my parental figure stopped, as she is very irresponsible, and me being a teenager, I didn't want to do the work, so I took advantage of it. So needless to say, both my education and social skills were severely affected in different ways. Fortunately, I'm a fairly fast learner, and I enjoy seeking knowledge, but I'm 90% introverted, so it took me several years after moving out as an adult to build up some of that confidence. I deal with some mild social anxiety, but nothing too major. I just get a bit overwhelmed when I'm around large groups of people I don't know, or I'm in large public buildings like Walmart or whatever else. But like a few months into starting my first job, I met a girl who, well, she'll remain anonymous. After a while of talking and hanging out, her and I decided that like we liked each other, and we got together. And I was still heavily suppressing my feelings at that time about everything, really, just in general. We had our fair amount of issues, but we both needed to mature a lot, and we ended up doing that through our issues, kind of, and also after moving on. I don't know, we matured, and I also feel like I had more maturing to do than her, but I feel my journey's been a bit more complicated in some ways. And we lasted for a little over 3 years. I want to say like maybe 3.5. I can't remember exactly, but I regret having lied to her about my sexuality. I'm pansexual. For anyone that doesn't know, pansexual is pan roots from the Latin word meaning all. And so if you're bisexual, you like males and females, like cis males and cis females. Someone who's pansexual would also date a transgender individual. I have a preference towards men, but I go like anyway, really. I just love people, honestly. I do regret having lied to her about my sexuality the whole time. She asked me more than once throughout the relationship. I just feared it might damage it, and I don't know. We had a couple of breaks in our relationship. On the second one, I came out to her about liking cross-dressing. I was still suppressing my feelings, like I said, so I didn't entirely know how to take it. Like, I had an idea of what they might mean, but I didn't have anything yet to really explain it. But near the end of our relationship, I had been doing some research into like transgender topics, articles and such of people coming out, like their stories and with their like transition timelines and stuff. And I was starting to understand it, accept why I felt the way I did, but I still didn't know how to tell anyone. I still felt trapped in a way, especially because I was in a relationship and there was no way she would have accepted that as something like as someone she wanted to be with still. And I think it would have been really damaging to her if I had just come out in the relationship. Not to say that she isn't accepting, because she is extremely accepting. She's in my inner circle still. Several months later, after me researching into this stuff, we ended things. It was more her decision at the time, but ultimately it was the best thing that could have happened for me. Her and I are still friends to this day, and like I said, she's super supportive of me. We talk fairly often, so I'm happy about that. And at the time, I was hurt, of course, because it was a breakup. We had been together for 3 years and she was my first love, but I saw this as an opportunity. The only thing I could really focus on at the time to try to push me past the hurt and the pain was that this door had just opened in my life, and I saw it as an opportunity to finally come out. But I was still fully trying to understand myself. I had a much better grasp. I was pretty certain why I felt the way I did, but I needed to see how people would feel about me. I was cautious. I'll say I don't care what people think, but I mean, to a degree, I only can take so much. As with anyone, we all have feelings, and we should only receive positive feelings in our life. But unfortunately, there's individuals out there who they themselves just emit negative energy and therefore bring you down with them. So I came out only about what I was saying was cross-dressing at the time and my sexual preference, which at the time I said bisexual because I didn't know about pansexual or what it was, but I was pretty well received with that. I was a few months into 2020, maybe a couple weeks after the breakup, honestly. All of the people in my inner circle were super accepting. I'd get looks from people at the store, but no one ever said anything to me. So I don't care. I can ignore their, I guess, confused or maybe judgmental looks. It's whatever. They're not coming up to me and trying to tell me that my way of life is wrong, because they're closed-minded and they don't want to see a broader spectrum to life. They only want to see what they were taught, and to me it's just sad, because if there's something I don't agree with, then I just don't say anything about it. It's as simple as that. I don't try to force my opinions down onto other people. So I came out about that. It was well received. Eventually corrected it to being pansexual. But after like 3 or 4 more months of having been open about that, I was slowly getting more comfortable. I made another post about my pronouns, letting people know that I went by female pronouns as well, but was more posting it hoping people would start using the female pronouns, but still wasn't quite there, like ready to come out fully. So I didn't say that I would prefer people use them instead. It just was like a, hey, you can use these as well. But people didn't really. I figured it was worth a try though. I mean, might as well, and I still wanted to just let people know I was working my way toward fully coming out. But fast forwarding ahead to the beginning of February, and I finally felt it was time. I stopped living a lie, and I started being me, which is Chloe. My journey has been difficult and confusing, but it's been made so much easier by my amazing support group. Now, I might be the one with the strength to keep going, but my support group gives me the confidence that I need to face this cruel and unaccepting world. But to those of you who are accepting, genuinely, wholeheartedly, thank you. All of you are beautiful and kind people. Your actions make ripples that even you might be unaware of, and they go beyond what you might think they may. They give positivity and such impact to individuals such as myself that it gives us hope that maybe someday we can be widely accepted, that eventually everyone can just be alright with it, you know? I mean, obviously, realistically, not everyone will ever be okay with it, but you can't have 100% ever in nature. It doesn't work like that. There's always some form of resistance, so be it. And to anyone else who might be going through a transition such as myself, just know that if you don't have the in-person support, there are plenty of groups, both online or otherwise, that can help you. One such resource is the Lifeline. They're a transgender-specific suicide prevention hotline. They have support, toll-free support for both the US and Canada. I will show the numbers on screen right now. You might also have local groups that could help. It's good to look around, do your research when you're feeling lost. Of course, I'm not a trained professional, and you should only take my advice as a suggestion from my experience, and not as something that you should do, because I don't know if it will help you or not. To wrap this up, I finally get to live as me, as the woman that I've been suppressing for so many years. And even though I finally feel like me, I know I still have a lot of steps ahead of me. One of the first steps I should be starting soon, which is hormone therapy. I'm very excited for it, and I'm very ready for it. It's not for everyone, and it's good to do your research on it, but if you are transitioning, it might help with your dysphoria. It might be something you want to look into. Again, not for everyone. Not a medical professional, and even if I was, I especially wouldn't be telling you that it is for you. That's your decision to make. So I don't want to keep this going on for too much longer. I appreciate all of you listening and accepting. If you aren't accepting, then I'm gonna be honest and blunt right now. I don't want you in my community, in any of my communities, whether that be YouTube, Discord, or Twitter. I respect everyone's beliefs and wishes, and if this isn't something you like, then I show you the door now and you can make your leave. But if you're indifferent or accepting, then I welcome you to stay in my community, and I hope for nothing but happiness and prosperity for everyone, regardless of your decisions. So, with that being said, I wish for happiness and love for all. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.